You give them all the latest toys and gadgets. You try to do everything to make them happy. But what do children really want from their parents? Well, tonight's show is all about that. And we've got some lovely guests tonight. We've got Sharon Lawton, parenting coach, who you've seen before, and also Simon Warr, who's a teacher and also a very well-known radio presenter. And as usual on Monday, we have our self-development clinic with the lovely Chris Brown. But first of all, let's talk to the lovely Lisa Marie to discuss the celebs kids. Hi, Lisa Marie.
Hi, Chrissy.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
So, what do kids really want, do you think, in your opinion?
Well,
Because they're a little bit spoiled nowadays, aren't they?
they are, and I think it's absolutely crazy, especially when you see like little kids with mobile phones. I mean, really, who are they talking to? I mean, oh, meet me in the sandpit. We'll have a glass of milk together. You know, it's a bit crazy. I think they do have a little bit too much. I mean, I know we've got to move with the times, but I mean, really?
I mean, I can understand to an extent parents giving their kids phones, because schools aren't what they used to be, are they? Because some places, some areas are quite dangerous, so you kind of want to check up. But at the same time,
I can understand
someone
that,
sees your child with a mobile, they're an easy target as well.
But it's like, why is a 7-year-old out by themselves? That doesn't happen much. I can understand if they're teenagers, like, you know, when you start to get to secondary school at like 11, 12 years old, they're coming home by themselves. I can understand that. But when they're in primary school and they're being picked up, nah, it's not necessary.
Doesn't make sense, does it?
Nah, not to me anyway.
All right. So tell us some of the shocking stories you have here.
Oh my gosh. I mean, well, I know it's all relative, and I know that like when we look at celebrity spoiled kids, that we can be, you know, well, I'm saying they're spoiled, maybe they're not. You know, it's a bit different because obviously your everyday parent might buy their children things in New Look, or, you know, however, whatever else it is that they're going to go to, because that's what they can afford. But I still think it's a bit of a problem when 4-year-old Emmy, who is one of the twins of Jennifer Lopez and Mark Anthony, she was spotted in October on the front row with mummy, Jennifer Lopez, at Paris Fashion Week, with wearing more than $2,500 worth of Chanel accessories, including, and this is crazy, 4-year-old with a brooch, $310 brooch, and a $2,100 bag.
Although some would argue if they can afford it, what's the problem? What do our viewers think, actually? If you want to get in touch and let us know what you think, you can give us a call on 020 7686 6300. Does it matter spending that much on a child? Or do you think children should be reined in a little bit and made to value what they have? Give us a call, 020 7686 6300. Lisa Marie, you're one delegate.
That wasn't it. I mean, normally as well, when you see a 4-year-old with a bag, they're not usually thinking, oh my gosh, that's a Chanel bag, let me look after it. It's like, oh yeah, I don't want to hold that anymore, and that's a scratched $2,000 Chanel handbag. But then they're not only spoiled by their mum, oh no, because their godfather is a very little known Tom Cruise,
is he? I didn't know that.
Who reportedly threw them a $200,000 welcome to the world christening party, complete with matching designer outfits, and rumour has it that the twins were given
they've split up. Why do we have a picture of
diamond rattles?
Pardon?
Diamond rattle. Exactly. What's the kid doing with the diamond rattle, that I ask you? I mean, well, that picture was for Suri and was because of Suri Cruise, and obviously mum and dad being Katie Holmes and Tom Cruise. This girl has a wardrobe that is reportedly worth over £3 million at 6 years old. £3 million. Now, come on. When we are adults, then we know that we can use these clothes over and over again. In a year's time, those clothes, she's not going to be able to use them.
What's the problem?
This is well, as I said, it's already, you know, she's got about a £2,000 Dolce & Gabbana red trench coat, a rack of dresses from designers such as Marc Jacob, Chloe, Burberry and Juicy Couture. But that's not all. When she recently went to Disney World, the 6-year-old stayed in Cinderella's castle suite. Now, this doesn't always happen. It was originally designed just for the Walt Disney family only, and it cannot actually be booked, and is normally reserved for special events. Well, if you're the child of Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes.
Let me just ask you a question. If you had a little girl,
yeah,
and her dream was to stay in that Cinderella suite, wouldn't you, if you could afford it, wouldn't you?
It's very true. You probably would.
Yeah.
But the $3 million wardrobe, I don't know about that. But then,
let's see what our caller has to say. Okay, no problem. Let's see what they have to say. Hello, good evening.
Good Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Hi, what's your name?
My name's Paul.
Hello, Paul. What do you have to say about this topic? Do you think kids are spoilt nowadays?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why'd you say that?
Well, it's what kids do you want, then it's what sure how when you're young you want what you want, but when they get older, what's isn't it?
So that's not setting a good example for them when they're older, you mean?
Yeah.
Do you have kids yourself?
No.
No?
I used to be one.
sometimes.
I used to be one long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And would you say you were a bit spoilt sometimes?
Pardon?
Were you a bit spoilt sometimes, or what do you think?
What's your question?
Were you ever spoilt yourself? Did your parents spoil you?
Not sometimes, yeah. Very rarely.
And what would you say kids really need these days from their parents?
Well, help and whatever they want, help and whatever, support, Yeah.
Okay, Paul, thanks for your call.
Thank you, Chrissy.
Thank you. Bye. Okay, Lisa.
Another example I have, and these are big kids. It's Petra and Tamara Eccleston, who were children of Formula One boss Bernie Eccleston. And they are, I think they're like 24, 29, respectively. And they had access to their father's 4.8 billion, that's billion, yeah? Not millions, $1 billion trust. Those people don't know who Bernie Eccleston is. He is the boss of Formula One. So raking it in. When Formula One was kind of disorganized, he was able to collate it under one roof and get everyone to kind of sign up with him. Mega deals all over the world, and we know Formula One is absolutely massive. So that's why he is mega rich. And he had put this money in trust for them when they got to an age where they could be responsible.
Which is what age?
I think it's from when they were like 18, but they've not exactly been that responsible with the money. But again, it's all relative.
What have they
I
done?
think.
Spill the beans.
Well, Petra has a 56 million Grade 2 listed Georgian townhouse in London, and last year she bought a 14-bedroom mansion in Los Angeles, which was previously owned by the Spelling family. It's like 57,000 square feet, bigger than the White House, has its own bowling alley, and get this, 100-car garage. Who owns 100 cars? I mean, really. Tamara lives in a 45 million house in Kensington, and recently appeared in her own TV series, $1 Billion Girl, which showed her taking her dogs to an exclusive pet spa for facials. I mean, really? This is why I know I'm in the wrong job. I need to open a pet spa.
No, I like it. Don't say that.
This can be my daytime job, where the rich and famous bring their dogs for facials. I mean, that's just getting everyone to spend their money. I mean, really. I mean, apparently even Bernie Eccleston has apparently commented that he didn't think that they would spend the money like this and quite so wildly. But on the plus side, he's been given advice from some like property supremo. He says that they have made good investments in their property, so that obviously when they sell them, they will still be worth a lot. But even I think it was Petra got married last year for $12 million. No, £12 million. It was $18 million, and because she had like private concerts on like the Black Eyed Peas and all these crazy things.
Do you think these kids are happy, or they grow up happy?
I think that maybe for the younger kids, they don't know any different. So obviously we'll see what happens as they grow older, because the tendency that can be with some celebrity kids is if the boundaries aren't there, they tend to go off the rails. So that's when the drugs, the alcohol abuse and all those kind of things come in, because there's no limits for them. I mean, there was an example I saw of like someone who said that Puff Daddy's, or P. Diddy, whatever his name is nowadays, Sean Combs, like saying that his boy was spoiled because he had one of those, super sweet 16 parties, that was on MTV, and he got a like $300,000 Maybach car when he couldn't drive yet.
They won't understand the value of these things.
But the thing is, but then he goes to university, I think it's UCLA, but he got it on a football scholarship. So he's actually making his own way. Okay. So the kind of thing is that he, from what I see, he is making that balance quite clear. But for some of these girls and the Ecclestons, for example, they're, $1 billion girl documentary thing where they're taking their dogs for facials. I mean, you know, so that's where I find it a bit like...
A bit too much.
It is a bit too much.
Lisa Marie, thank you very, very much. We're going to go to a quick break, and afterwards we're going to be speaking to the lovely Sharon and also Simon, who's here with us already. But after the break, they're going to be telling us all about what they think children really need nowadays. So join us after this.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Chrissy B Show, always aiming to show you the happier side of life. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to the show, and we are asking the question, what do kids really want? Actually, I think we should rephrase it, what do kids really need? Because there's sometimes a very big difference between the two. Well, I'm joined, as I said before the break, by the very charming Simon Warr.
Charming.
And also the lovely Sharon.
Hi, Chris.
How are you? So Sharon, you're a parenting coach.
That's right.
And Simon, you're a teacher and a radio presenter.
Yeah.
So we're going to have quite sort of a nice broad spectrum of opinions here, hopefully. So Sharon, first of all, how was your upbringing as a child? How were you as a child, and did you think you got everything you needed from your parents?
Well, I think
they're not watching.
As an adult, looking back, I think you have a very different perspective on what your childhood is like. When you're in it at the time, you know, you're always comparing yourself or saying, oh, can I have this? Or, you know, a lot of my peer group actually were more fortunate enough to be more affluent, so they had other bigger things to play with, or better clothes, etc., etc. But now looking back as an adult, actually, I think I had a very, very good upbringing. My parents spent time and attention with me, which is actually, in my opinion, what children need. Is the time and attention to feel good about themselves. Yeah.
So, how about you, Simon?
Well, I had an unfortunate childhood, actually, 'cause I lost both my parents when I was 6, and I was packed off to a very strict boarding school on my 8th birthday. I always remember that. My adoptive parents left me at this boarding school in North London, and they drove off back to Wales on my 8th birthday.
Oh, gosh.
So it was quite sad at the time, but how the world has changed since then, and I'm going from the late 60s now through the 70s when I grew up, and children have far, in terms of material wealth, they are so much richer now than they've ever been. Incredibly so. We've seen this massive transformation in the last 10, 15 years with children owning the latest sort of technological gadgets. But I think it's a flawed tenet that children's happiness is based on what they own, as opposed to what they are and what they've achieved and what they're going to achieve. And I think we seem to have lost sight of that. The most important thing for any child, because I didn't have my own parents, and I can tell you now, to have two loving parents. We talked about Tamara Eccleston or whatever, these people, they may be fabulously wealthy, but if they've not got the love, and as you mentioned, the attention from their parents, or, you know, if it's a single parent family, if they've not got the love and attention of mum or dad, whoever they live with, then they are spiritually very poor indeed. They may have the latest trainers, they may have the latest t-shirt, the latest mobile phone, iPod, iPhone. They can have all these things, but they're spiritually poor if they haven't got the love and attention of their parents.
I mean, I thought I had quite a raw deal when I was growing up, because my parents were very strict, and like, I didn't sort of have the latest clothes or anything, but looking back now, they were so great with me, because they were always there for me. They used to take me to school all the time. They were strict. I didn't have a TV until I was 18. When I bought one myself. I wasn't allowed one in my room or anything. But they were there all the time. And they used to go to all my parents' evenings and everything like that. So they were just there constantly for me and showered me with love and affection and compliments and things like that. So not over the top, because they used to tell me when I was obviously very strict and put me in my place when I needed to be. But that's what I remember. I just remember sort of spending time going to the farm. We used to go to the farm because my dad used to do shooting, and we used to go to the farm with him and sort of have barbecues. So all those things, that's what's in my memory.
It's about the quality of the relationship, isn't it? Because that's what you remember. You know, at the time, you think, as a child, you think, well, you know, if only I had, the iPhone 5. If only I had the latest tablet, then I'll feel good about myself. But actually, you don't remember those in adulthood. You don't remember that you had the latest iPhone 5 when it came out 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
What you remember is the trips to the farm and the times around the table. In fact, something we spoke about on a previous show, wasn't it? It's about that quality time together and family traditions.
It's very important, and we mentioned in the green room beforehand about sitting at home in the evenings, having a meal together, as opposed to just in front of a television screen. Children spend far too many hours.
I wasn't allowed to put the TV. We weren't allowed to put the TV on at home at meal times.
We used to sit around. We had to sit down and chat with mum and dad. Because if children only speak to other children, how are they going to expand their vocabulary? How are they going to be able to present arguments lucidly, fluently, if they don't spend time speaking to adults? It's interesting, Mrs. Thatcher dying today, and I think she did a lot of good things for this country. But equally, I think that through the 80s, we became obsessed with owning things, with making money. And house prices went through the roof. And as a result of house prices just escalating out of all proportion, parents now spend every waking moment trying to pay rents, trying to pay mortgages. It's ridiculous. That's what we seem to think is important in this country. That the properties in London, you know, a one-bedroom flat for £400,000. How utterly ludicrous. Where all children need is their parents, one of their parents at home when they get back from school. But because of the nature of what we seem to hold important in this country, parents are having to work ridiculous hours just to pay the bills.
They feel guilty, don't they, sometimes, or because they're working so hard and they're trying to sort of make ends meet, that they do start to shower the kids with gifts because they think, I can't be there for them, so let me just buy them everything that they want, try to keep them happy in that sense. But in effect, that's not what the child needs.
And then these other parents who can't afford it feel under pressure for providing these very same gadgets. And I think it's unfair on parents to put this pressure on them to buy their children the latest gadgets, the latest clothes, because some parents can't afford it, and they get into debt going out of their way to provide children with things that they can't afford.
That's right. Sharon, what would you say then to parents that, you know, they can't afford to buy the latest stuff for their kids? How would you handle that as a parent, and what advice would you give to parents?
It's really difficult because it's something that comes up a lot in parents that I coach, either one-to-one or in the parent groups that I run. And, you know, as adults, parents are susceptible to peer pressure just as much as children are. They want their children not to be the odd ones out. And also, of course, they're sort of fed into this sort of belief that their child is the only one, and that's not always necessarily the case. But it is about time and attention. It is about meeting all of the needs of our children. And if too few emotional needs are met, then often that's when we start to see behavioural problems start to break out. So it's very easy, because we feel guilty because maybe we are out working a lot, or we feel guilty because Johnny next door has got the latest gadget, then to buy that for our children. But that's a short-term fix. It doesn't help our children to feel good about themselves. And we want our children to feel good enough about who they are, not because they've got the latest gadget. You know,
which is what you were saying as well.
Those self-esteem issues are so important.
Now, as a teacher, Simon, what's the sort of the main problem that you see maybe with the students in terms of maybe the way they were brought up?
Well, the main problem for teachers now is we're expected to be entertainers first and foremost, almost circus performers, because children have so much entertainment at home. It's everywhere. They're surrounded. There's a tsunami of entertainment for them, what with television, what they've got on their mobile phones. There's entertainment everywhere. And of course, when they come to school, if the teachers aren't naturally entertainers, they've got a problem. Because children find some parts of...
I bet you keep the classes alive though, don't you, Simon?
Pardon?
You keep the classes alive,
Well, we had an inspection a few years ago, and one of the inspectors said to one of the pupils, "Excuse me, is there any misbehaviour in your class?" They said, "Only the teacher." But anyway, that's another story. I kept that quiet. But you know, you have to entertain the children now, and you know, because it's on tap which it wasn't when I was at school in the 60s and 70s. You know, we had 2 or 3 channels to watch on television.
Yeah, I remember that.
And we used to go home and play Scrabble or something, or play Monopoly.
Wasn't it nice those days?
It was nice.
But life's not like that anymore,
It's
is
not.
it? Time has moved on, and we need to move on with the times, because otherwise we
don't
get
be
left.
ridiculous.
We do. Simon, you know we do. We need to move on, otherwise
Yeah, we've got 2 different
technology
opinions.
moves on, and we get left behind, and we become, you know, they
don't
look at us
look
as
at me when you say
dinosaurs.
this.
I said we. They look at us like dinosaurs. So we need
it's
to
true.
make sure that we are keeping
look,
up with
when,
them.
when you go to school, a certain part of the learning process, studying and learning process, is boring, is tedious. Whatever job you do, even if you're a television presenter, now any young child, what do you want to do when you go, I want to be a TV presenter? Everybody wants to be a TV presenter. But I say to them, being a TV presenter isn't all glamour. There's a lot of work you've got to do behind the scenes, sitting in front of a computer screen, doing groundwork, you know, which obviously you've done. Especially, I mean, it showed you with that last caller. You know, you have to be, you know, on your mettle. Anyway, but the point about this is, whatever job you do, parts of it are going to be tedious. And I think children have to learn that when you're studying, when you're learning, some of it is going to be boring, because that's life. You know, whatever you do in life, parts of it are challenging, boring. And when you're learning stuff, you know, even if you're learning a foreign language, I'm afraid I can't take the class to Montmartre in Paris, you know, every French lesson. They've got to sit in a classroom and to learn a foreign language. And parts of it are going to be boring, I say to them. In fact, probably all of it's boring. But, you know,
you actually teach languages?
I teach languages, yes.
Okay.
But not English, as you probably noticed. But, you know...
I wanted this, because you mentioned actually, because I only did Italian because I wanted to go to Italy. And we didn't go, so I was quite upset. This was at university,
Really?
but yeah.
Well, actually, I teach Latin as well. I teach French and Latin. And I said to one of the pupils a couple of years ago, I said, why do you want to do we'll learn Latin? He said, oh, because next year I'm going to Latin America with my mother. I said, you stupid boy. Anyway, that's another story.
We're going to go to...
You'll have to come on one of my courses. Could I get you to not to say stupid boy?
Oh,
we think of something else to say instead.
Advice from a parenting coach.
Sorry, I should have said
You have
that.
to go. I think it's time for a break. So after the break, we're going to continue. We're going to show a video. And if you want to give us a call, I'm not sure if I should open the phone lines, but if you want to give us a call, 020 7686 6300. Join us after this.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Chrissy B Show, always aiming to show you the happier side of life. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to this heated topic, I would say, today, about what kids really need and what they want versus what they want. But let's take a look at this video, because I'd love to get our special guest's opinion on it. So let's take a look.
What do children really need? Some parents or children might think they know, but do they really? Is it the new iPad or iPhone that the kids want? Or is it love and security? Let's talk to some people who might be able to help us find out. What do children really need?
I think children want a lot of the time what other children want. They're influenced a lot at school. But actually when they're at home, normally they want attention from their parents or whoever's caring for them. They think they want everything else that every child has, but at the end of the day, which I know from experience, even when you get them those things, they soon lose interest.
Playing with my mum, because I wouldn't want to fill my bedroom with all my toys, and because I don't actually need everything.
They need to feel loved, they need to feel that they can talk to their elders through any problems they're going through. So although they do need some of the things that everyone else has, there are certain things that only certain people around them can give them.
Well, maybe they're allowed some of the things, but if they at least in a week spend some time with their parents.
I think children need balance. I think it's good that they do get some of the things that they want, so that they don't feel left out, so that they don't feel that they're deprived maybe from other children, and also for them to experience different things.
We play dominoes, we maybe play a game with my dolls.
Sometimes it's good for them to actually want and to wait and to even have to earn what they want.
Why we shouldn't spoil children.
When you spoil children, as they grow up, they're going to expect the same treatment from whatever they do and from other people. So whether it be in their job, whether it be in a relationship.
Sometimes they want things and then they're like, oh no, another DS has come out, I want this one.
You do want to be your child's best friend, but there also has to be those boundaries in the sense that there are limits, and as a parent you still have that authority.
I like having a mum, but sometimes when I get angry, I think that I want another mum.
Normally you can give them love, but I also think you need to know when to give love. For example, if you're telling your child off, I don't think that's the time to be hugging and kissing and speaking sweet to them, and I have seen that in the past with parents that do that.
What do kids really hope for their future?
I would like to work as a doctor to help kids. I would like to have children. I would want BlackBerry and do well in my studies.
I want to be a good influence, but I want her to make the right decisions. I want her to be happy. I want her to really fulfill her dreams that she has. I love my daughter this much.
That much? Can't do anymore.
How cute. So thanks very much to the lovely Lisa and the gorgeous little Natalia there. So Sharon, what did you think of the video and what she said?
Fantastic, lovely, absolutely. Children need to have their needs met. Wants and needs, as you pointed out earlier, are very different. So children have needs around time and attention, feeling good about themselves, so finding opportunities to shine. But they also need, as the video showed, to have some boundaries in place. So they learn about self-discipline and they learn what respect is and respect themselves and to respect others. So yeah, I think it was a great video, fantastic.
Well, the thing about boundaries as well, even though my dad was strict at home, but I always felt safe.
Absolutely.
And I never sort of went into drugs or anything like that, because not because, you know, even though people around me were taking drugs, but I just wasn't ever interested, because I think that was the way I was brought up. It didn't interest me whatsoever.
You had a safe environment that you were being brought up, which is one of our basic needs as a human being, you know, to feel safe and have a safe environment.
And how about Sam? What did you think of what they were said
I thought it was very emotional. Sorry, wipe my eyes. No, I thought it was a great summary of actually some of the points you've made here in the studio. And if every parent was like that, and if every child responded like that, we wouldn't have any problems at all. But I do think that the biggest social change in this country during the last 30 years has been the decline of the parental role. And decline in that some parents who are parents haven't got the first idea what it means to be a parent, but also we've got the benign parents who would love to be good parents, but for the reasons why we outlined earlier, they can't be good parents because they've got to spend too long working to pay bills. And we've just have got our priorities wrong. And if you looked at that video then, that encapsulated what a mother-daughter relationship should be about. And even the, I don't know how old the child was, it 6, 7,
yeah,
I don't know.
About 7.
But she seemed to have it at her fingertips, what was important to her. Okay, she mentioned BlackBerry, but she did say
briefly.
she loved her mother that much, and she just wanted time with mum. And I just feel it's such a shame that we're all chasing after, you know, the next day's wage, and we've lost sight of what's really, really important, and that is time spent with children. And if parents do spend time with their children, that's far more valuable, as we mentioned, than the latest trainers or the latest outfits, because that's not going to make the child happy. And this endless pursuit, particularly as they get into teenage years, this endless pursuit of the latest technological gadgets, the latest clothes, that is inextricably linked, I think, with low self-esteem and a lack of confidence. And that normally comes from the fact that they don't spend enough time with their parents.
But say we do have parents watching tonight, and they feel they have to work because they're not just they're not really paying for luxury items. They're paying for like the basics, but they want to spend time with their kids. What can they do
Chrissy,
in
can
this
I just
instance?
interject in there, because it's very difficult, isn't it? Because nobody sets out to be a bad parent. You know, we all love our kids. You know, every parent loves their kid. They don't set out
Well, not
to
every
be.
parent doesn't.
They don't set
No,
out
they don't,
intentionally
no.
to be a bad. And I have to disagree. I think
Well, we've
all
just
of
seen
us.
a case, a dreadful case this week, of that man who should never have been allowed to have children.
Okay.
Who's just been imprisoned this week. So, you know, not every parent has good intentions, I'm afraid. Vast majority do.
Most parents,
most do.
most parents love their children, and depending on their upbringing, will determine how good a model of parenting they would have had. And so, if we've had a good model of parenting, we will follow that good model of parenting. If we've had maybe not such a good start, then it's something that I would argue doesn't come naturally. And if we've had a bad start, sometimes it's hard to know what's the right thing to do.
That's why we have parenting coaches
Absolutely,
like yourself. Right?
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so we're very lucky if we start off with having a very good model to start with. But where our children is concerned, we don't necessarily have to spend hours and hours and hours with our children, because we can spend hours with our children, but there still actually can be attention seeking. It's much better to have 10 minutes focused quality time than
Which
give
every
up your
parent
job.
can do, really.
Yeah, and give up your job and then spend 24 hours with them, and then be worrying about the bills and be emotionally needy yourself, and then end up actually taking that out on your child. So to me, it's all about some real focus time, good quality time.
Meal times.
Meal times, it might be meal times, it might be spending a little bit of time reading to your child. It might even be sitting next to them watching their favourite DVD and having a snuggle on the sofa. That might be that real quality time with that child. And so it doesn't matter how long it is, as long as it's really focused.
But they'll remember that, wouldn't they?
They
'Cause
will
I
remember
those
that.
moments.
They will remember that. And that's, where, the quality of the relationship is important, not how many parents you have, not how much money you've got, not your ethnicity. It's the relationship that's really important.
But of all the jobs we do, parenting is the most important
course,
job that
absolutely.
any person does. Far more important than any job they get paid to do. That, if you bring a child into the world, you have a moral obligation to bring that child up as best you can.
Definitely. We've got to go to a break now, but thank you so much for your opinions. Very valid
welcome.
opinions.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for all
It's
your
been good.
advice, Simon. Thank you. And after the break, we're going to be joined by Chris Brown, self-development coach, for his input into the subject as well. So join us after this.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Chrissy B Show, always aiming to show you the happier side of life. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back, and we're now in the self-development clinic with Chris Brown. Hello.
Hi, Chrissy.
Feels like I haven't seen you for ages.
I know, it does seem a bit of a while, doesn't
yeah.
it? Yeah, time just flies, doesn't
It's
it?
because we had the bank holiday, didn't we?
Oh, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay. So, what do you think of the subject today?
I thought the subject today is great, and there was a lot of facts on both sides of the fence, what I thought about. But funny enough, you were talking about earlier on about distractions as well, and giving children things that the main word was need and desire. What they desire and what they need. And we're talking about also, that Ariel's going to touch on, is the distractions. All the distractions that children, and not only children, adults actually have through life. I mean, it seems like, as you mentioned, technology, everything's going a lot faster now. We're talking about faster and now, right? Think about this. You go away on holiday. You leave everything behind. And wherever you go, it always seems like the sky's more beautiful. You've got the day seems long, you can go this place, go that place, sit on the beach, whatever, and time just goes on, and it goes on and on. As soon as you get back, everything seems fast, and the pressure as well.
Your time's consumed with everything, isn't it?
Exactly, but think about it, it's got something to do with technology as well, because you've got all the technology, the gadgets around you, which everything is moving fast, so when you were away, you didn't have that, but then you come back and you're under pressure. I'm not saying that I'm against all gadgets, because to be honest, I'm one of them as well. I do like them, at the end of the day, but everything has its place. And then you've got the child who actually wants this gadget and that gadget. You've got to think about it. Are you giving them what they need, what they desire, or what they need at the end of the day? Now, here's another area. We're talking about distractions. There's many distractions in life for a child to be focused, and I'm going to say again, adults as well. Media. Media plays a big part in this. Some years ago, as was mentioned before, years ago, we were talking about editing. And if you look at a film from back a little while ago, or any little cartoon, you'll see the edits will go something like boom, 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 and that's it. And you'll be watching, they'll be engaged, and they got time, and they enjoy it, just like you and you went, oh, memories straight away. Today, all the films edit go boom, 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 straight away. Everything's fast, furious, straight away. Then what does that do? Afterwards, you've been watching that and you go to school. Now, teachers don't teach like boom, 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 do they? They teach.
That's what Simon was saying before about
exactly. So it's harder for him at the end of the day. So he's got to transfer the information and make sure it gets through to them. You can't do that fast. You do it slow. So what happens to the child? They actually feel, well, this is getting pretty boring. You know, I'm not learning anything here. It's not stimulating me, and their mind goes off. So it's a big distraction. So you're talking about media as well as playing a part in it. Oh yeah, plays a big responsibility in it. The sort of things that are put out there right now, and then we turn around and say, where did they learn this from? Let me just say one thing. Don't let the TV be your child's babysitter. Take responsibility for that. It's not going to do them any good at the end of the day.
Throw the TV away.
Not now, not this moment, right? Okay.
No, don't go while you're doing this.
Right.
Out the
and only take out on Monday, Wednesday and Fridays, yeah?
Out the kids' bedrooms, I think.
Well, funny you should say that, out of kids' bedrooms, because that is another one as well. If you have many TVs in a house and everybody's got one in their room, that whole idea of the family coming together actually gets separated, it gets divided. You know, I can actually remember that as a child as well, when I actually had a TV in a room. It sort of separates you a bit. You go to the room to watch the TV and this, that and the other, and it kind of brings a big gap. You know, you've got to think about what you're doing.
Nowadays, it's not even a TV, is it? They watch on their iPads and on their phones, the kids now. That's where they watch TV now and things. So even if you don't have a TV, you've got all the other stuff.
Well, there you go. And you just said it. iPhones, pads, everything like that. I mean, think of the many gadgets today of technology which are distractions. Now, you said mobile phones, right? Okay, think about this. Now, this was a bit of research here. How many texts do you think throughout a month, let's say a 13, 17-year-old girl would have? Send and receive.
A 13 to 17-year-old?
Yeah, roughly. Any stab area. Yeah, in a month, roughly.
Hundreds?
Take a step. Right, okay, you're in the hundreds. Guess how much? 4,000.
Are you serious?
4,000, right? Now think about that, 4,000, that's 6 per day, right? That's a distraction. Every day, that's a distraction. I'm not saying don't send out texts, but you're going to buy your child a mobile phone to keep texting away and distract them from the world and everything that's going on, take it into school, texting away. That's quite a lot. Now, funny enough, it's 4,000 for a 13, 17-year-old girl. Guess how much your boy? It works out to be 3,000. Don't ask me why, but that's what it's saying, right? Works out to be 3,000. I didn't write it.
Chris
right?
Brown.
Bit of research there.
Yeah, okay, you don't talk that much more.
Okay. All right. Now, overall, what we're saying to round this up is we're actually making a culture of distraction all around. It's around us 24/7. It's up to you at the end of the day. Are you going to go with this culture of distraction and everything's around it, or are you going to pull back on it? Are you going to be the one who says, oh, my child needs this, I'm going to give it to them, and you ask them, what's wrong with them? Why are they like this later on? You know, got to think about it. Who's doing it? Is it the child or is it you? Yeah. Who's the parent at the end of the day? We make choices in how we actually bring up our child at the end of the day. And I do believe that, as Sharon was saying earlier on and Steve was saying earlier on, Simon was saying earlier on, that parents do actually have the right intention from the beginning. I don't think it's totally like the parents' fault at the end of the day. But we have a responsibility. We can't always turn around and say, well, it's this and it's that out there and that's happening there. What are you doing about it at the end of the day? Now, this is not having a go, because I'm going to say the same thing again. I love technology, but there's got to be a time. Yeah, there's got to be a time. I mean, before we was talking, I remember at the show we was talking about, I say when it's dinner time, wife herself, no phone, no distraction. Someone might say to me after, they turn around and say, I was trying to call you. And
I was having dinner with my wife.
Exactly. So I don't answer it.
That doesn't really happen often, does it? Because even in restaurants nowadays, you see people there sort of having a meal, but they're like
texting away.
And it's like, where's the communication? Although I have done that a few times.
Well, what does that say? What does that say?
Yeah, it's not
it
good,
says, who's the most important person in the room? That's what it says. Hang on, the person here on the phone, You know, I'll get back to you in a minute. Yeah. And there's the other thing. Think about it. Somebody's having a meeting. We're having a meeting. And wanted to get your attention. All I'd have to do in the meeting is phone you. You're going to answer the phone, right? You'll stop everything and answer the phone for you. Just a minute, Chris.
I'm going to try that. That's a good idea.
Exactly. That's how you get your attention at the end of the day, right? So it's got quite a lot of power. We've been geared and programmed in that way. Now, overall, what I'm saying is you've got to really get into the zone. Get into the zone of being calm, being focused, know what you're doing. Don't let outside, let's say, technology or everything interfere with you on the inside. You've got to be in control of it. It's not in control of you at the end of the day. And in saying that, I'll say be mindful in what you buy for your kids and what you let them do. That's the bottom line. Have a look at them, observe them now and see what's happening. You can actually pull it back a bit.
Just need to stop and just check.
Yeah, stop, check, just what you said. Yeah, reflect.
Okay. Yeah. Any more points? Is that
is it.
Thank you, Chris, very much. And actually, speaking of distractions, there's something that I'm currently doing. I'm in this 21-day fast. It's something that I'm doing in the church that I attend, but this, I think everyone can do this at some point where basically we're cutting off sort of all media for just this 21 days. And it's like, so we're talking about like, that's why I didn't know Margaret Thatcher had died. Someone told me today. So no TV, no Facebook and stuff, unless it's for work, magazines, newspapers and stuff. And it's a time to sort of really focus on what's important. Now, even if you're not a spiritual person, for example, you should even try this just for a week and just see the difference it will make to your life by just not being distracted by all these things for a while. So watch the Chrissy B Show. But other than that, you can just try, for example, not to be on your phone, even if you don't do like totally, but at least, for example, maybe you say, I'm going to halve the time that I'm on the internet, or I'm going to halve the TV time, for example, and invest that time in my child, or invest that time in my partner. And it makes such a huge difference. You don't actually realize how much of your time is consumed by technology and all these distractions. Of course, you have to use some of them for your work and stuff, but sometimes you don't realize how much you're actually using these things and ignoring people around you, especially your children. It's something, it's so sad because sometimes you can't get that time back, or you can't get that time back. Once you've lost that time, you know, the kids have grown up, it's gone. And then you're wondering why, you know, for example, how come I'm not very close with my daughter since she's grown up, and like, you know, what's going on in the family, why aren't we as close? Well, because that time wasn't spent together in the first place. Exactly. So sometimes you should just sort of take a breather, just try this for a few days even, and see the impact that it's going to make on your life.
I think that'll make all the difference, you know, because you become more productive and you get more creative. And if you get more creative, back to the same thing, you become more productive. It's great, it's brilliant. Communication, that's the key. We need to start talking again, that's the bottom line, isn't it? Yeah, I agree.
All right, but we need to stop talking because we've reached the end of the show. Thank you very much, Chris.
Okay, Chris, thank you very much.
And we'll see you again next Monday. Pleasure. And thank you guys at home for watching. But if you do have any comments about this, or if you'd like to email me personally, you can do so on chris@chrissybshow.tv. I promise to answer all emails personally. If you want more information about the show, the website address is chrissybshow.tv. I'll see you again on Wednesday. Bye-bye for now.
So whistling ducks, do they actually whistle then?
Yeah, they literally whistle. That's why they're called whistling ducks. Yeah.
Yeah, they whistle.
Give a little whistle.
Tell us a bit about this place. Hi, Emily.
Hi.
How are you?
Right,
and who's this down here? Trying to eat my jacket.
One of our donkeys.
This is Calypso. Okay.
The younger one.
She's trying to eat my back.
2, 1.
Hi, I'm here with Emily from the Golders Hill Park. Oh, hold on a minute. Right. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Hi, I'm here. Sorry. She's coming again.
Wait.
Doesn't look like she's crunching it. Oh no.
Okay, don't worry. I'll add that bit.
What happened?
Okay, let me do my jacket up. She's trying to eat my necklace.
Okay.
You owe me a necklace, young lady.
She's like, oh, make me.